Live from the Geico Outkick Studios, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. So we got a lot to be excited about. The return of the NFL. We basically have every sport under the sun happening this weekend. College football is going to be back. We got the NBA, the NHL, MLS. I think the WNBA is playing. We got the U.S. Open. Do you think there's anybody out there in my listening audience right now who's like, man, I can't wait for sports to be back this weekend? I am going to watch the WNBA like, is there a single person listening right now? We got millions of people now who listen to this show on a regular basis. Is there a single person listening to my show right now that as we roll into what's going to be a long weekend of sporting excess, is there anybody that's like, man, I am making sure that I don't miss? I don't even know what's going on in the WNBA. What do you think is out there? Is there a single person that is listening to me right now? I know there's a single person on the planet because, you know, WNBA players have moms and dads, so I'm sure they're the most excited. Is there a single person that's listening to me right now that's like, I cannot wait for this WNBA action going on this weekend?
Oh, of course.
You think
not.
there's one? Of course not. Yeah. So, like, a couple different things I want to get into.
But you said we do have millions now. Do you think there's one person out of 10 million?
Well, I don't think we have 10 million people listening. We do
in
have
a
millions,
month,
but over the course of the month.
Yeah, over the course of a month.
Yeah, well, I would just love, like, if you are listening to me right now and you are legitimate, is there a single person? Like, most people are not into what Odell Beckham is allegedly into. I bet there's a single person out there who's like, yeah, good for you, Odell. Amen, brother. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Odell's been trending all week for it. And allegedly. There's a couple different things I want to get into here as we get ready for the NFL. I'm going to give you some picks. First of all, we finished off the show, hour one, and I was talking about my wife's financial decisions and the things that she is focused on. For a long time, if I left the water running to get ready for the shower so that it was warm, by the time I got in, she'd be like, what are you doing wasting all that water? And I'm like, wait, wasting? You just spent $900 on Lululemon or whatever those things are, pants, workout pants, and you're worried about the 8 cents that I just wasted in water dollar by turning it on so it can get warm?
Total mom move right there.
I'm a total dad in the sense that I walk around in my house all day, every day, turning lights off. This to me is like the quintessential dad move. If you have kids, and I don't know how many times I've said, hey, when you leave the room, just if you're not going to be there, turn the light out. I don't know how much money I have saved for my family. It might be 36 cents this year, but I will walk around obsessively turning off the lights all over the house. Because otherwise, I really think this is true. At night when my family goes to bed, it might as well be it's like the Chevy Chase house on vacation. The amount of lights that are left on is crazy. So I just walk around literally in my house all day long, every day. And I remember my dad doing this when I was young. The dad, it seems to me, in the house is the one who just basically turns off lights all day long. And again, I've probably saved 36 cents for my family this year by turning off the lights. But I don't think anybody would have ever turned off the lights otherwise. I mean, it just is infuriating me how much time the lights get left on. But my wife's inability to understand overall budgetary issues and what she gets focused on, it blows my mind oftentimes. The amount of money that we spend just like drunken sailors. I'm like, how is it possible that we have spent, this much money on yoga classes or, kids, anyway,
What about open doors? That was a big thing where my mom, if she was running the air conditioner and we dared to open the back door or the front door, she freaked out. Shut that door.
Oh,
I'm not paying
actually
this AC bill for you to have a door open.
Your mom's right about that because my kids will just leave and I don't even care. I mean, I don't like the fact that it gets the hot air comes in or by the way, it could be in the winter too. Your mom's also paying for the heat but it's the bugs. How do you go outside? I was talking to my 12-year-old about this the other day because we're about to get the cats. The cats are coming to the house, the Bengal cats, the speaking of wasted money. I think these damn cats cost me like $1,000 each. I don't even want like the cats have a microchip in them. I like my laptop barely works, and I got microchipped cats. Like I talked about this on the show the other day. Like why are my cats going to be microchipped? So my wife is going to pick up these cats. I'm not going to be able to breathe anymore in the house. I'm allergic to them. The whole family's been like during the pandemic. The kids had to do like an informative argument, and my wife had them do it on why the family needs cats. So we got 2 Bengal cats that are coming this weekend, and they're microchipped. But my wife has been like just all over our 12-year-old because he won't shut the door when he goes outside. I'm like, how is it not register in your brain that when you go out, she's been all over him because she's like, we're going to lose the cats. And now I'm terrified. I don't even want the cats. But now I'm like, if I'm going to spend $1,000 on a freaking cat and it's microchipped, the last thing I want to do, it's like, I'm going to have to get on my laptop or my phone and like find a cat, like tracking it on the microchip. I can already know where this is going to go. The cats are going to get out of the house, and then the kids are going to be upset because the cats get out of the house. And then we're going to have to make all these, like find the cat, the things for the neighborhood. My wife's going to be on Facebook, like, hey, have you seen our cats? I'm going to be trying to track it. Like I'm going to have my phone, like trying to find the micro target, the cats. And then it's going to be in somebody's house. Like when somebody steals your phone and you just knock on the door and you're like, hey, I think my cat's here.
Clay, I have a purebred cat as well. And I was one of the ones that told you that Bengals were the way to go. And I've been in your palatial estate before. I don't think these Bengals are going to want to spend time outside because my cat, once in a while, I'll crack the door because I'm picking up an Amazon package or something, and he'll look out there, but then he does a double take and he's like, nah, it doesn't look so good out there because he has it made inside. He's kicking it in front of the air conditioner with his food and his water dish.
But the cat, no. The cat is going to be like my kids. They don't know how much they have it made. Their version of what the real world is so fundamentally artificial.
Well, maybe because it's 120 degrees outside here. So
well, in California, the cat might not want to go outside.
I told my 5-year-old the other day, when I grew up, I had no internet, right? And she didn't believe me. She's like, Mom, is that true? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I mean, I've told this story before, but to me, it like personifies everything. So, and like we live in a really nice neighborhood now, right? The kind of neighborhood that I certainly could not have even come close to afford to live in when I was a kid growing up, right? And so I've said before and there's probably a lot of people listening who have been in this situation, but you might drive through a fancy neighborhood with your parents and like look at all the really nice houses, right? Or if it's Christmas time, like the people who have a lot of money to spend on their lights, like maybe you don't have that money, you drive through. I'm conscious of it around Halloween, although I think I read, or you idiots out in L.A., your leadership is not allowing kids to go trick-or-treating now. Is that true?
Stupid.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, there was a press release yesterday.
A press release?
Yeah.
First of all, it's early September. Do you really need to cancel trick-or-treating at the end of October? I told my wife the other day,
first thing I thought too.
We have a Halloween party. In addition to the ways that my wife spends money hand over fist, there's the amount of Halloween decorations that we have. We have thousands of dollars now in Halloween decorations in our house. And she was like, well, with the coronavirus going on, I'm not sure if I'm going to throw a Halloween. I was like, we're throwing a Halloween party. All right, if people are afraid they're going to die at our Halloween party, first of all, I mean, it's Halloween, so you got risk everywhere, right? So you can wear a mask in your costume or whatever. Like October 31st, or I guess it's going to be October 30th, we are throwing a Halloween party at my house. And I was like, we're just doing it. She's like, I don't know. I think we might get in trouble. I was like, no, we're throwing a Halloween party anyway. So I'm the opposite of the trick-or-treater people, right?
Yeah, and by the way, really quick, I have that in front of me. You'll be happy to hear pumpkin carving is allowed.
They actually sent out a list of what you can do for Halloween?
This is, remember months ago?
I don't know how people aren't revolting. If I lived in California, I think about this all the time.
This is like
right?
the badminton list that we had months ago. Halloween activities not...
Well, hold on. Yeah, okay. I want to get to that in a second.
Right,
but they've tried to... at times be like, hey, do you want to move to L.A.? You can work at Fox Sports. You've got a television show there. It's never really gotten aggressive in terms of whether I want to move to L.A., but we've had those conversations off and on, and I like L.A. I mean, based on the time that I've spent out there. I would be driven insane. I'm not even kidding. If I had to live with the restrictions that you guys have had to live with in L.A., and if I was looking back to where I live now in Nashville, in the Tennessee area, and everything that we can do, which is basically total normal life here, and what you're allowed to do there, I would be losing my mind. So there's restrictions on what you can do for Halloween?
Yeah, Halloween activities.
They sent this out. This is from the city of Los Angeles?
Yeah, Los Angeles County Department of Public Health guidance for celebrating Halloween. Halloween activities not permitted. Door-to-door trick-or-treating is not allowed.
So will they arrest kids if that happens? Like, what do they – like, I
question.
understand when they say something's not permitted. But if, like, you are living in Los Angeles and your 6-year-old wants to walk next door and knock on somebody's door and say trick-or-treat, like, do police just come out of nowhere and just tackle them and, like, put them in cuffs? I mean, what are they going to do if your kids
I think
in your
rubber
neighborhood –
bullets would be more fitting.
I mean, if your kids in their neighborhood want to get dressed up for Halloween and go knock on their neighbors' doors and say trick or treat, like I don't even understand how they say that's not permitted. Like that is, what are they going to do? How do they stop that? Are they going to arrest parents? Are they going to confiscate your candy? I mean, I don't even like. And
they're not going to do anything.
And what cop out there is actually going to do this? Like, I know people are like, oh, cops are awful human beings, right? That's what athletes want to tell us all the time. Most cops, totally normal, likable. They're listening to us right now. Thank you for what you do. They're not going to freaking arrest a parent who's walking around with a kid in a costume getting trick-or-treat. Like, okay, so this is lunacy. First of all, that they're sending it out in early September, right? I mean, I can't believe we're here, but if the president comes out and says trick-or-treating is going on, he might gain 1 million votes nationwide. Certainly if kids could vote, it would help him. Because, I mean, are we going to have to get Joe Biden on the record about whether or not trick-or-treating should be allowed to? I mean, this is crazy, all right? So not permitted. This is officially from the city of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Not the state of California, or is it the city of Los Angeles?
This is L.A. County.
Okay.
All right, it says, and they give a little explanation on why they're banning door-to-door trick-or-treating. It says,
because everybody's going to die of the coronavirus.
Because it can be very difficult to maintain proper social distancing on porches and at front doors, especially in neighborhoods that are popular with trick-or-treaters. Also not permitted. Trunk or treating. Events where children go from car to car instead of door-to-door to receive treats are also not allowed. Gatherings or parties with non-household members are not permitted, even if they are conducted outdoors. Carnivals, festivals, live entertainment, and haunted house attractions are not allowed.
All that stuff's open where I am. I don't think we have, and it's not like I'm listening to the government tell me exactly what I can do from one moment to the next, but where we live, like we can have a party. So it's not prohibited. Although the idea that the government can tell you whether or not you can have a party at your house is
that's ridiculous.
That's crazy. Yeah. Like if I want to have 20 people over to my house to have a barbecue, like the idea that the government could show up and be like, "Sorry, that's not permitted, sir." I mean, it's crazy to me.
Yeah, people in Los Angeles County are not going to follow this. For Halloween.
I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, I'm taking my kids trick or treating.
There is a list for the permitted activities.
What can you do?
Online parties / contests, e.g., costume or pumpkin carving.
So the internet, the government is allowing you to get on the internet.
They're allowing Zoom parties, I guess.
Who is pumpkin carving on? But you want to know
what a
who
bunch
deserves
of
to be in jail?
Dorks.
Like, imagine if somebody was like, "Hey, I'm going to carve my pumpkin. Do you want to get on Zoom and watch me?" I'm like, "You psycho. No, I want you to go to prison because there's no telling what else you're into if you think that I want to watch you carve a pumpkin on Zoom."
So I'll count to 10 and present our
pumpkin.
Maybe
Odell's into that.
Halloween movie nights at drive-in theaters. Halloween-themed meals at outdoor restaurants. Halloween-themed art installations at an outdoor museum, dressing up homes and yards with Halloween-themed decorations.
Your tax dollars in the city of Los Angeles are going to some loser sitting around coming up with a allowed activity list for Halloween. I mean, that's just crazy for me to think about, that there are people who would listen to this. So the Halloween party, we're going to have a Halloween party. And we got all these Halloween decorations. Every year my wife spends God knows how much on new Halloween decorations. The fact that my kids are even willing or able to walk around the house, like sometimes I'm scared because I'm up early in the morning and, like out of the corner of my eye, like we got ghosts and ghouls and like terrifying looking things like standing all over the house, and it's 4:15 in the morning and I'm walking through and like some of them move, like they're motion activated. And so it's pitch black, dark in the house, and like suddenly I walk by and there's a ghost that comes alive. So for people out there, like, you drive. The story I was telling was you drive through sometimes, like, oh, this is a great neighborhood for Halloween decorations, or this is a great neighborhood for Christmas lights. And this is talking about wasting money. Like my wife priced out, what it would have for somebody to do Christmas lights, for instance, for our house. And thankfully, she came back and she was like, "This is too much, and I'm not willing to pay that." And I was like, "How much is it?" She was like, "Oh, the guy wanted $5,000 to put Christmas lights all over." I'm like, $5,000 to put Christmas lights all over our house? But so having like super good displays of Christmas lights or Halloween, like it's expensive, right? And not only does it take a lot of money, it can take a lot of time. So wealthier neighborhoods typically have like better Christmas decorations, better places to go trick-or-treating. Like I'm conscious of that. I live in one of those neighborhoods now, the kind of neighborhood I couldn't afford to live in when I was a kid. So we would get in the car sometimes. You drive through the neighborhood and you're like, oh, imagine what it would be to live in that house. Or, oh, wow, look at how, massive that place is, or what a neighborhood. Like stuff like that. We would do that occasionally when I was a kid. And so we were walking home recently. This has been probably a year or 2 years, whatever. We were walking home recently from a birthday party in the neighborhood. And my kids were complaining because the neighbor that we went to had a trampoline in the backyard. And how come we didn't have a trampoline in the backyard, and all these things, and how like as a kid, it doesn't matter how much stuff you have, somebody else always is going to have more. And I'm like, okay, this is an important parenting opportunity for me. And I was like, your dad and your mom, like when we were kids growing up, we used to drive around and look at the houses like that we live in now where people with money live. And we'd be like, oh, can you imagine what it would be to live in a house like that? And, we didn't have a lot of the things that you have, and, running through a list of all the things that they have and how they should be happy and fortunate. This is with my two oldest who were younger now than they are, but they were still young. And it's a whole list of all the things and the reasons that they should be incredibly thankful for the things that they have. And how, dad and mom never had the stuff that they had when they were growing up. I mean, I didn't get into, we had to walk uphill 4 miles both ways, like it might be the case now. Although my wife, who grew up in Michigan, has made a big deal about standing outside for the bus and how, she would walk in blizzards and they never shut down for snow and everything else. I mean, you would think that she lived in the Arctic in an igloo by the time she finishes the story about how cold it was standing for the bus. And anyway, so we're walking through talking about, I'm pointing out all the neighborhood. And I'm like, your dad and your mom, when we were young, we would ride around in cars and wonder what it might be like to live in a big house like you guys get to live in now. And I mean, I'm just thinking I killed it. And this is in response to why we don't have a trampoline and, in the backyard and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I have this is the greatest parenting job I've ever done. These kids are going to remember this forever. Like they are going to, when they're 78 years old, they're going to be sitting around like, the reason why I had success in life was when I was 8, when I was 5, the kids are talking, they're like, my dad set me down and pointed out how much good fortune we had and how hard work's important and all this stuff. And I'm just letting them have it. I'm like, this is going to be like, they're going to learn. They're never going to know. They're going to remember this day for the rest of their life. So I finished with this stirring conclusion. I'm like, you get to live in the house now that your dad and your mom used to wonder what it would be like to live in one day. And I finished with that like summation, and I'm like, the kids are quiet for a second. I'm like, man, I have rocked their world. They're going to remember this day forever. And so I've just finished saying, you get to live in a house that your dad and mom used to drive through neighborhoods and wonder what it would be like to live in one day. And my oldest kid, I swear to God, there's a long pause, and I'm thinking like, I've just absolutely nailed it. He's like, well, Dad, now you know. Went through this entire list about how fortunate they were and how dad and mom used to wonder what it was like to live in a big house in like a nice neighborhood. And I'll be damned if my kid doesn't immediately say, well, Dad, now you know. Now you know. Like all that lesson that I thought I had taught to him about all the advantages and privileges he had, and what he took away was, now Dad knows what it's like to live in a nice house. So you can't win. Like, I don't know what it was like. I think about this now. I'm working 20 hours a day. I got like 10 different companies that we're running, and things are going pretty well from a financial perspective. And I'm like, these 3 knuckleheads that I have in the house, they're just going to waste it all. I mean, they're like, after I'm dead, they're just going to there's no I'm all this money that I am trying to make that eventually they're going to inherit. They're going to just blow it all. Like all the work that I'm doing, like I was talking to my wife the other day. I'm like, do we really need to make more money? I'm like, I don't really question like the decision making that our 12-year-old and our 9-year-old and our 5-year-old have now. Like, do we think they're going to make better decisions when they have money? Like, they're just going to waste everything. I don't know. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking about. When we come back.
Did your wife get the new Peloton bike already?
Oh, of course we got the Peloton. I mean, if you can
The
spend
new
money
one?
on
The
it,
new one already?
What we got a Peloton. I've got like a TRX. We'll probably get the mirror. Like, I don't know. I don't think there's a single thing that you can sign up for in America that we're not signed up for. Yeah, that like, and to be fair, like, I think I talked about this on the radio the other day. Like, we couldn't remember what the Amazon password was. And inevitably, like, there's 50 billion things going on. And my wife's like, hey, do you remember what the Amazon password is? I'm like, no. You know, she's like, it logged me out of the phone. I don't. Like, I think conservatively, since the coronavirus started, we have had 4 billion packages arrive at our house from things that my wife has ordered on Amazon, right? So, no, I'm like, no, I don't remember. And my password is registered on an old email address, and I don't know the password to get into the old email address. So I have to but in order to get the password to Amazon, I have to get through like 6 different emails and like 6 different other passwords in order to get. So I was like, just sign up for a new Amazon account.
Just keep your passwords away from Dub.
Well, yeah, no kidding, double still. But I was like, my wife was like, what? I was like, just sign up for your own Amazon Prime account. I was like, it's $99 for the year. She's like, you're telling me. And so we got into a fight over whether me telling her to have her own Amazon Prime account. She's like, you want there to be 2 Amazon Prime accounts for the house? And I was like, if it means that you never ask me again what the password is for Amazon, I want you to have your own Amazon Prime account, and I'll have my own Amazon Prime account. Yes, I'm fine with that. And I think there's probably got to be a lot of people out there that are like, and then you get into an argument, and I'm like, it would have been worth, I would have just given you $100 right now out of my wallet not to have this argument. And that's not a good position to be in either. And probably, this is probably going to be a good position for me to be in either, because on the off chance that my wife is actually listening to the show right now, driving one of our kids to school, I'll probably hear about this later. So my wife is lovely, greatest woman that's ever existed on the planet. Better looking now than she was when we got married 16 years ago. But probably also spending money like a drunken sailor right now on perfumes and yoga pants and things that I don't even understand how we use them. All right, when we come back, Geoff Shwartz is going to join us. Eventually, we're going to give you our NFL picks. This is Outkick the coverage. What do I need to say? Do I have ads to do as I go to break here?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, of course. Hold on. Let me scroll.
Our friends at Car Shield.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Car Shield's important because they give you so many ways to protect your car. And for a while there, my wife got into a car accident like every 3 months, and the amount of money that we spent on car repairs was crazy.
Nice tie-in.
You know, it's true. She said the first thing that happened when she got in the most recent car accident was she was like, I'm so glad this isn't my fault. And she had like the police officer call and be like, hey, it wasn't your wife's fault. Because immediately I was going to be like, another one? Like you backed into something? You know, like anyway, my wife can hit things like crazy. And if you know what is going to happen every time your car gets dinged up, it ends up costing an absolute ton. And that's why Car Shield can make a lot of sense. You can get a customizable hookup situation. They've helped over 1 million drivers. That's why they are America's #1 auto protection company. Again, if your car has things go wrong with it, you can pay for it in advance and be hooked up for when things go bad. I used to dread car repairs, but with Car Shield, I have peace of mind. Get coverage today and see why Car Shield cars go further. Call 800-665-2157 and mention code OUTKICK or visit carshield.com and use code OUTKICK to save 10%. That's carshield.com, code OUTKICK. A deductible may apply. Get hooked up today, carshield.com, code OUTKICK. This is Outkick the Coverage on Fox Sports Radio.